Matt and Leah, 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 Matt and Leah. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. A pancake!
What is up, boys and girls, and everything in between? It's Bear With Us. I am Matt. This is Leah. Leah, how are you?
That was a lackluster introduction.
Well, listen, I figure by now they have an idea of how I feel about you.
Oh, what does that mean? Lackluster? That's how you feel about me?
No. There's nothing lackluster about me and you, or you and I.
Oh.
I was just trying to make an intro so we could get to the business
Okay.
of the show.
Got it.
Because there's a lot of business to get to. First off, how insanely incredible has the feedback been in the first few weeks of this
We have the best fans ever. It's so exciting. Like, I was so freaking nervous about the things that were coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, are people going to think I'm weird? And like, the answer is yes, I am weird. However, like, I realized there are a lot of weird people out there that are just as weird as me. Is that true?
See, you found your flock via the medium of podcasting and social media. Just let's take a second real quick, though, to thank everybody who has subscribed, who has thrown us the 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts.
Y'all are the best. And those who didn't, you can go yourselves.
Wow, that was really, really aggressive. Really bad way to start this show off because I'm in a good mood. For once. And we are now available on all major platforms.
That's huge.
Apple took a couple days to get launched. We just finalized Google Play. So wherever you're listening to this.
Or not Shopify.
Shopify is not a podcast platform.
Spotify.
There we go. Freudian slip. We know her brain is not in the gutter. It's on the internet buying things.
Yes.
So, yeah. I'm totally derailed right now.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll just edit point.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, have you recovered from our conversation from last week about farting and poops?
Don't know that I will ever recover.
She had dumps like a truck. Dump.
All right. That is not what Cisco meant. I hope not. For the love of God, it will have ruined my high school career.
Let me see that dump.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Baby, make your booty go.
If that's what Cisco meant, I am looking at he and Drew Hill in a whole different manner at this particular juncture.
I'm just proud of you. I'm
Why?
really proud that you got through that. And I will say, didn't I say something to you last week about how, like, I feel like now I feel much more comfortable talking to you about that stuff, like at home, just not here at the studio.
Right, which I think was an unfortunate byproduct of having the conversation. I wasn't really concerned in your comfort level with discussing said things. Hopefully today's conversation could be a bit more palatable.
Right.
A little less cringeworthy. I don't foresee
I mean, we're
myself.
always cringe. Let's just be honest.
Speak for yourself. But I mentioned not that long ago that I'm in a pretty good mood today.
You are.
And we decided that could kind of be a topic of conversation because we all have partners, or maybe we don't have partners, but inevitably you have to deal with the ups and downs and moods and swings and everything in between.
We all have them.
Right.
We all have different moods.
Yours usually sucks.
Babe, take that back.
I won't take
I
it
feel
back.
like I would honestly say, I don't know, 75 to 80% of the time, I'm in a good mood. Would you disagree?
No, I completely agree.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Because I do feel like I'm most of the time very just like happy.
Let me restart this whole thing because I want to tease the questions at the bottom of the show.
Okay.
We'll go back to right after the Capo Kanye and just take it from there. Sorry, Mill. So now that the business is out of the way, lots to get to, including a couple of your questions we will answer right here on this very episode of Bear With Us. Leah has been keeping a very close eye on the social media interactions.
There's been quite a few really, really good questions.
Right, and also quite a few shady mother sliding up in them DMs, and I am not okay with it. I know who you are.
I did get a DM today asking if I wear a thong or panties.
Isn't a thong a variety of panties?
Yes. I guess they should have said like a thong or like full bum underwear. Also, I hate the word panties.
Yeah,
I
well,
just
you
hate
brought
it.
up
Like,
the conversation.
Panties. Like when you really accentuate the T.
Remember when we promised no cringe or gag-worthy elements in this episode?
No gagging? Damn it! Sorry, Mom.
Take over, Monty. I'm in the bag.
Anywho, I will say that I'm very proud of you. You overcame a huge obstacle last week.
I didn't overcome anything. I just powered through a conversation.
But it's opened the door for us. No, we're not doing butt stuff, unfortunately, but it has opened the door for us to be able to be more open about talking about going to the bathroom, at least for me.
Well, that's great. Now I understand why the door has literally been open every time you've gone
Okay,
in the
that
last
is
week.
so not true.
Well, you're weird.
That would be disgusting.
I'm very uncomfortable around you right now.
I don't want to damper the mood because you're in a very good mood.
I am.
I'm loving it.
Some might say it's a rare good mood.
That's not true.
It's not true, but based on what I project to the world via my job and social media, etc., I am, as my good friend Tom likes to refer to me as, his little ray of pitch black.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're my little ray of sunshine.
Okay, well, you're the
I
only
know you
one.
don't want people to think that about you, but you really are.
Right. But it took some time to get through that, right? Obviously, any relationship, you get to learn how your partner's moods work. Some swing more wildly than others. And I'm not.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, because I'm having a conversation with you. I'm not implying that your mood swings wildly. I'm pretty guilty of all this.
Okay.
But I think maybe this is a cool conversation to have as to how we learned to deal with one another.
And are still learning.
Totally.
We all have moods, right? We all go up and down and all over the place.
Right, but in this particular time, I mean, between the pandemic and all of the race issues happening all over the country, there's a lot of just negativity and heavy stuff that everybody's dealing with, and rightfully so. I mean, it's important stuff, but sometimes it can just, speaking personally, can just kind of throw me into a funk. I mean,
Totally.
it was a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to get out of bed. Nothing happened. There was no particular reason. I just felt like the weight of the world. I was just worn down by, negativity. And again, it's not. This is not like a woe is me. Oh, poor me. I have to watch all this. It's life. Life can get hard.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. Something could happen that's so insignificant, and all of a sudden you're upset and you're feeling so emotional. It's well, the world is in shambles right now, so it's okay to feel that way, regardless about what you're upset about. There's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more that meets the eye than just the random thing you're upset about. There's so much more happening in the world.
Right. So I'm going to defer to you out of the gate here, because I have been known to have some pretty interesting mood swings. Full disclosure here, I mean, this is something I've been dealing with for quite some time. I've had a strong history of concussions and traumatic brain injuries, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the side effects that I'm stuck with, luckily I don't have crazy headaches or anything, but I tend to wake up in a bad mood, or something little will set me off to where I just don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, I was on depression medication for quite some time, and through a lot of work and meditation and just changing my life circumstances, I don't obviously have to deal with it quite as bad as I did, but that doesn't mean it doesn't rear its ugly head from time to time. So what is it like for you when you and I are in this budding new relationship and you go, oh, wow, this guy's a head case?
I definitely don't think you're a head case at all. But I will say, I mean, it's something that I dealt with you, and I think you were dealing with me too. From the very beginning, we went through some shit in the very beginning stages of our relationship. And I think I know that that's not you. I know it's not who you are. And I know we all go through so it's okay, he's in a bad mood or he's going through something, and I just try to do my best, be there for you, listen to you. And I think obviously at the time, and I know we'll probably get into this more later episodes, but you were going through a divorce and there's so much happening. So that in and of itself is a lot. So I was just trying to be there for you and know okay, it's going to get better. And then finally we got through it. We got through, the smoke cleared and things were just great. We're seeing each other all the time and we're together. And that I think was the hardest part for me, is when things were good and you were in a bad mood and things you're this sucks and this is shitty, and I wanted to be well, yeah, it's really not that shitty, I don't know why you're so little things would just set you off, and I didn't understand it, and I would take it personally. And it would be like, well, things are really freaking good. Like, maybe you should stop and smell the roses first. And then, like, I have to go and remember, like, okay, like, I know that you deal with these mood swings and you have these, things that you deal with. And we all have.
You can say issues. I got issues.
We all have issues, and I just have to remember that. I just have to be like, okay, it has nothing to do with me. I think that was the hardest part learning. And now I know how you are. And I know when you're in a bad mood and you're in a mood, I know I can't disagree with you. I know that you are not wrong. So it's like when you're in your mood. Are you
implying that I'm ever wrong? So it's just when I'm in a bad mood that I'm not wrong?
When you're in a mood, I know I have to, yes, babe. Babe, you are great. Babe, you are right. Babe, you are
smart, important.
You was kind. You was smart. You was important. But I that's what I have to do in order to help you get through your mood. And then once you're past it, like a day or two, and I know like you're good again. And like I know when you're in your moods, but like I still have to like continue. I keep saying like a million times because I'm trying.
You're basically a valley girl right now.
I'm really trying to tread lightly. I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm trying to think. So I keep saying like. But I just feel like once you're through that and you're past it, I can talk to you straight. I can be okay. By the way, when you said this or when you did that, like, no, that's a no from me. And
give me an example of when we've had. I'm sure we've
like
had this.
Sometimes like when you're upset about work.
Yeah.
Like when you're upset about something at work. And you're like, this is wrong, this is bad, this sucks. And any job you're in, you're going to go through that. And I can't disagree with you. I have to be like, you know what? You're right. That does suck. Even if I know in my head it doesn't. And I know you really, if anyone looking from the outside in would think and agree with me that, hey, that's not really that of a thing. But for whatever reason, it's something that just makes you tick. And then I have to sit there and be like, because I remember specifically one time we were on a flight to work, and you were upset. I couldn't even tell you what it was you were upset about, but and in my mind I was like, well, that's not even that big of a deal. And I said that to you, and you're like, what do you mean it's not even that big of a deal? And I was like, okay, like, and it just set you off. And you're like, you're not even on my side. And you went off on this whole tangent about how I wasn't your partner. You're like, I need a teammate in life. I need someone who's on my side. And I was thinking like, first of all, fuck you, because there's no one around that would be a bigger teammate for you than me. And I know I always have your back. But in the moment, I didn't realize like you were in a mood, and you were like, what do you mean? And I was like, whoa, like what the is happening? And then I realized, oh shit, okay, he's in a mood.
Can we just pause for a second? I don't mean to throw you off your story, but the amount of obscenities you have spewed in the last minute and a half is record breaking.
I know. I'm sorry.
I was going to suggest we make a drinking game this week, but people would die. Our listeners, we're still trying to grow and gain listeners, not wipe them out with alcohol poisoning. I'm
sorry, but it's just like when I get fired up, drunk, or mad, that's when all my and right now I'm just fired up because I'm feeling those emotions.
Okay,
so let me go back. Right, so we're on a plane, and we're not like making a scene or anything, but it was just like between you and I, and you were saying all these things, and like I said, I was just saying I don't necessarily agree with you on that, and you might have thought I was like, you're wrong, you're an idiot, blah blah blah, and you were just so offended, and now all of a sudden I'm not your teammate anymore. I don't have your back, is what you're saying to me, and I'm like, what is he even saying? He's speaking nonsense. So then I knew in that moment, okay, you know what, Leah, he's upset. He's in a mood. You just have to yes him to death is essentially what I did for the rest of the night. Yes, babe, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm not being a good teammate right now. I'm not. And even though in my head, I knew I was. Let me finish. You guys, he's looking at me right now like trying to cut me off. So I did what I had to do the rest of the night. And then the next day we chatted and we had a talk. And I said, I think I might have even waited a few days because it was just so like raw with you right at that time. So then like a few days go by, we flew home, and I sat you down on the couch and I said, hey, listen, like, I don't think that this is the hill to die in. Like, you should not be this upset over this. Like, what you're saying, like, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, there's no need to be this upset over it. And you got it. You understand. You're like, you know what? I was just upset about this, that, whatever, and that set me off when you said this. And that's fine. But like, that's something I learned with you is I have to just basically yes you to death. And now I'm like, I'm telling you my strategies now, so that kind of sucks.
So now I'm never going to believe
myself.
you even when you are on my side. I'm just going to be
But
like,
I feel
she's just
when
yesing
you're
me to
fired up, I have to do that, because if I would disagree with you and tell you the truth, which is like, I feel like we have a very honest relationship. I tell you how I feel, even if I think it might hurt your feelings, I'm going to say it in a nice way, but I'm always honest with you. And I tell you, listen, like, no, that is not how it is. But I have to do that. And then when you're actually in the right mindset, I can look at you face to face, and you get it. And we've had talks before, and I'm like, listen, I don't think you should be that upset over this. And you're like, yeah, you're right. So, and I don't know, that's just how I deal with you, because in the moment, that's just what you want to hear. You can't handle me disagreeing with you
when I'm angry.
When you're angry, even if I think it's wrong. And don't get me wrong, I will defend you till the day I die, like to anybody else, like to our friends, to family, to anybody. If I think you're being an idiot and you're talking to somebody and you're saying something completely wrong that I disagree with, I don't care. I'll defend you, because you're my partner, you're my teammate. So if this person's arguing with you and you're saying your side, I'm going to say F you to that person. My man is right. I will always defend you. But behind closed doors, I'm going to tell you like it is. That's just the way I roll.
I can get behind that. That makes sense. Just for the sake of discussion and argument on the other side of the coin, you are pretty level-headed, like you said before. You're 75, 85% of the time, you're pretty bubbly.
I think I'm in a good mood most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, but you have your moments.
100%.
And it was a learning experience for me, because you went from being always so over-the-top, happy-go-lucky, that the first time I saw less than that, I was like, it's on me. What did I do? It's my fault. What have I done? She doesn't like me anymore. She hates me. And then it like becomes paranoia. It goes from like just a disagreement or assuming that there's a problem to like, oh no. I personally have a habit of like making a monster out of something that may not even exist.
Sure.
But then I learned that for 3 or 4 days every month, and I don't feel that I need to get too graphic as to what days those are. I feel like it's a relatable time frame for anybody listening to this.
Sure.
You can be kind of a lot.
But I wouldn't. Would you say it was a bitch? Would
Sometimes.
you say that? Give me an example.
Off the top of my head, I can't. I think it's probably very much like what you're describing with me. Like, it's not anything that's actually an issue. You're just feeling some sort of way. And it's like, hey, do you want to go do this thing? No, I got to go do that. It's just the way you.
And I know, trust me, I know. Like my family knows, my sister, my parents, they know how I can be. When I'm hungry, don't talk to me. When I get hangry.
Hangry is a real thing.
Like,
I've never seen it to the level that I see it with you.
I get hangry if I don't have food like every 2 minutes. Like, you know me. The other day he goes, "You are literally always eating."
You do. You graze
all day. But if I'm hungry, forget it. Don't talk to me. And if I'm just like in a mood, like you said, okay, like the few days prior to me getting my period, I don't know if I should say that, but I'm saying it.
I feel like I covered that
but
for
like,
everybody.
Right, but it's a few days prior. Like when I have it,
Isn't that
I just
called
want to
PMS?
be cuddled.
Isn't that what it is?
No,
right?
but it's different for me. Like for me, when I'm on it, like I just want to be cuddled. I want to be loved. I want you to tell me how pretty I am. I want you to tell me you love me, how perfect I am. But prior to that, just stay away.
Right.
Stay away. Because I'm in a mood. It's just like, I don't want to talk to anyone. And like you said, I'm very, I think, bubbly most of the time, happy. So then it's like such an extreme, like drastic change.
Right.
So I can understand.
Totally. But the key to like getting through that, it took time. But now I know, let it go. Just like you yes me.
Let it go. I'm trying to make the situation a little bit lighter.
Well, I mean, it's not heavy. I was just, we're having a conversation about potentially how to solve this.
Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
And I will tell you what does not solve things.
Deflection.
Frozen.
Oh.
So if you could refrain from singing.
Okay, I'm done. Say what you have to say. And I know this is a bad habit of mine. I interrupt a lot. I need to work on that. And I'm going to start that
next
right
week.
now.
Okay, good. But so you yes me to death. I basically ignore you until I feel like there's a better time to approach the situation. Have you ever had any sort of any other ways you've had to deal with a partner that gets in a mood or acts a certain way where you're just like, okay, in this instance, you have to do this?
But sometimes I feel like I don't want to be ignored. I want you to love me.
You literally just ignored the question I asked you and said what you wanted to say anyway. What an amazing example.
Because I don't have any other, like, you're asking me about other relationships?
I was just asking you in general. Have you ever had someone that you had to deal with, whether it be a boyfriend, girlfriend, like parent?
I have a litany of stories and examples, but I don't want to get into that. It's like a whole Pandora's box I don't want to open. I really don't.
All right. Then
that's another conversation for another day.
I mean, it's kind of the point of the podcast.
So you want me? I'm not getting into that.
All right. I was talking. Well, there we go. We made it 4 episodes, guys. It was a hell of a run.
No,
Leah decided she didn't want to talk about things anymore.
No, it's not that I don't want to talk about things, but I will say, like, it has been a learning curve being with you, because I feel like I never truly want to be mad at you. I never really want to be like upset with you, because you're just, to me, you're so perfect. And it's funny, we were chatting with our friends last week about, like, oh, if you could have a hall pass, right? To me, I would even want a hall pass. You're, like, to me, just so perfect. And I just think you're amazing. So to ever, like, be mad at you, it's hard for me. So I just hate when we get into these little, like, tiffs, if you will, about, like, one of us being in a bad mood. But I realize, because I haven't lived with a guy in so long, but I realize, you know, when you're with your partner all the time, you can't be perfect all the time. You're going to go through there's going to be mood swings. There's going to be ups and downs. And I think that, to me, is, like, the hardest thing about moving in with you, because I just didn't want to believe that there was anything less than perfection. And you're still pretty perfect, but it's like trying to figure out how to, like, you know, navigate the ups and downs. And I was so scared to show you my true self, because I, of course, want you to think I'm this perfect woman and, you know, great partner. And I don't want you to see me in these states of feeling, you know, anxiety or anything less than my bubbly self.
So that was something that I experienced really for the first time about a week ago.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you've spoken about it, and you're like, oh, I get really bad anxiety. And I think a lot of people think, like, being nervous for any reason is anxiety. And I guess technically it is.
Yeah.
But not to the level where it's, like, incapacitating, right? Yeah. And I've had it in spurts. That's not like the depression and anxiety kind of go hand in hand, but that was never, like, my fear to go out and do anything to where I felt physically unable because of something that was going on in my mind.
Yeah. But so this is something that is really hard for me to talk about, because I feel like I've grown and changed so much over time. But I used to be just so painfully shy. I can't even explain how shy I was. And when I tell people that I used to be shy, no one believes me. But when I was a kid, I couldn't even order my own ice cream at Dairy Queen. I had to have my sister order it for me, because I couldn't even, like, speak up. Or, like, if my grandfather asked me to do something, I'd be like, Bree, I'd tell my sister, like, you go tell him, or you, like, so shy. And I know it sounds crazy, and I wish I wasn't like that. And I finally got to a point where I was like, why am I like this? I don't want to be like this anymore. And I just decided I'm not going to be that person anymore. And I just, like, one day, like, snapped my fingers and I just tried to change. But sometimes the shy Leah comes back, and especially in social settings. And I know it sounds crazy, you know, with the jobs we have, and, you know, we're performing in front of thousands and thousands of people and meeting people every day and doing media and all of that. But I get so nervous in social settings. And we were going to a friend's house, and this couple friend that we have, we get along with so well. And it's like Matt's friend from here in Pittsburgh, and, like, I've taken to really like them, and we get along with them and have so much fun with them. But they were having a cookout. And if they're listening now, I'm nervous for them to hear this.
Oh, they're definitely hearing this.
So, and I was like, you know, we told them we're going to go to their cookout. So for sure, this was like a few days prior. And then all of a sudden, okay, now it's Saturday. We have to go to the cookout. And I knew we had to go. And, like, earlier in the day, I was, like, in a great mood. Matt and I went shopping, having a good time. And then it got time to go. And all of a sudden, it's like 15 minutes before we leave, and I'm just not talking to Matt. Because I know in my head, I'm like, I have such anxiety about going to this house and talking to people that I don't know. Yes, I know I know our friends, the two of them, the couple, but I don't know who they're going to have at their house. Are they going to like me? Am I going to have to, you know, like, try to act a certain way for them to get to like me? And I I don't know, tell it from your perspective, because I know how I was feeling, but all of a sudden he got so mad at me.
Well, because you admitted to being a habitual event canceller.
Well, yeah, that's
you make
for sure.
plans
I do that.
and then break them.
Yeah.
And to me, that doesn't fly, like, ever. If I tell you I'm going to do something or be somewhere, come hell or high water.
If it's something important, I will never cancel on somebody. But if it's something like, oh, maybe we'll stop by your cookout. To me, I'm like, yeah, it sounded like a great idea at the time, but now that the time is here, like, I don't know if I really want to go. And it has nothing to do with the people there. It's just myself. I'm a homebody. I love to be home. I love to stay at home, do my own thing, be on my own time. That's it. So then all of a sudden now it gets time to go, and Matt's like, are you going to ignore me the rest of the day, or what are you going to do? Because I don't want to keep going on like this. And I was like, whoa. Like, and mind you, I'm already like wanting to cry in my head. I wanted to cry because I had such anxiety about going. And now he's yelling at me.
I wasn't yelling at you.
Well, you were speaking
confronting
very
you
loud
about trying to cancel on plans, like, as we were walking out the house.
And I had to explain to him, and like he didn't understand. I said, I don't know these people. I don't. And he's like, well, what do you want to perform for a living, and you do this, that, whatever, but you can't go to a cookout at our friend's house. And to
it's
me,
weird. So that to me, you explaining that level of anxiety to me seems almost impossible. Because you're like, all I've ever wanted to do is dance.
Well, do you think
I was
I'm
a
lying?
Lakers girl.
Do you think I would
No.
like making this up because I just don't like? If I didn't want to go, I would just say, babe, I'm not going. Like, I wanted to go. I told you I wanted to go. I just had such anxiety about going, and I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like that. And you know what? I called my mom and my sister the next day, and I talked to them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, like they understood, because I guess they know how I am. They know how I've been my entire life. Like, I get like shell shocked almost when I'm in like social situations with people I don't know. Like, if it's different, if it's performing and people like know who I am and I'm like being on, but when it's just people I don't know, I just clam up. I guess this is so bad to the point where I signed up for voice lessons. Okay, I took years of voice lessons because I wanted to be on Broadway, and I went to
This is a very strict no refund policy.
I went to my voice instructor's home. Like, that was where the lessons were. Walked in, and you know, he's like, okay, so he's like trying to teach me some notes and stuff, and he's like waiting for me to sing, and I just wouldn't sing. I wouldn't do any of the notes. And he's like, so like,
the room is not conducive to my voice.
And my mom's looking at me like, Leah, like, you wanted to take voice lessons. And I sat there like, oh, like I couldn't do it. So then finally it got like weeks and weeks and weeks of me going. My mom's wasting all this money on voice lessons, weeks of me not even singing, not making a peep. Finally, my voice teacher was like, how about next week you bring in maybe a CD of like a song you I just hit the microphone, of a song you like, and you can sing that song with the CD. And I was like, okay, cool. So the next week I come in, I bring in the Sheryl Crow and Kid Rock song Picture.
Oh, no.
That's what I bring in, right? So that was like a big hit at the time, and I thought I could like really jam out to Sheryl Crow. So he pops in the CD, he hits play, and like the whole first like 4 minutes of the song is Kid Rock, right? But I was waiting for Sheryl Crow's part. So he's like, are you gonna sing? I was like, yeah, it's coming up. Don't worry about it. So then all of a sudden it's like, how does their part start?
I saw your picture today.
No. Waiting on you for 3 damn nights.
That's not how it starts. That's like
her part though.
That's not how it starts.
How does her part start?
I don't know. Not like that.
Whatever. So all of a sudden Sheryl Crow comes on, and I am jamming out. Like, legitimately, he basically thought Sheryl Crow was in the house, and he was like, oh wow, like, okay, cool. But that's how shy I was. You have no idea. I couldn't even sing at voice lessons. And
Well,
it was me, my mom, and the other guy.
Well, the good news is it was became glaringly obvious how delusional you are in your voice lessons, where you thought you sounded like Sheryl.
Off. I was great. How dare you? This is a house of learned doctors.
You could be a rock star because it's the family business, I guess, too, right? No, so I think ultimately, though, now everyone's got their own examples, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a partner, or maybe their singleness can prepare them, because you're going to deal with it. You're going to see all sides of your partner. I think what I have learned, or at least attempted to live by now, is never try to fix it in the heat of the moment.
100%.
If you're angry or feeling some kind of way, and I'm feeling another kind of way, we're never going to get on the same page until it's like, okay, cool off. Whether that be, okay, I'm going upstairs to watch a horror movie. That's my go-to. Just stay away from me for 2 hours.
100%.
And then we'll talk. or vice versa, where you just kind of go to the gym or ignore me. And
I think also what has scarred me is I was in a relationship in the past where every time we got in a fight or anytime something got heated, he would break up with me. Like, just be like, I'm done. I'm not doing, and like send me these.
I think I've played that a few times.
Crazy rage texts and be like, I'm done. And I would be like, oh my God, no, like I can't. And I would try to be like, no, like, but I'll do whatever. Like, I just was so scared and nervous, you know? And now I'm at a point like, cool, you want to break up with me? I will never, ever, ever beg somebody to be with me again. And I learned that from my past. Like, and I realized now, like, obviously we're much more mature than this relationship I was in. And I think prior to learning from you, it was like, well, if we're in a fight, are we just going to break up? Like, that was what I always thought. So now I realize, okay, you know what? We had a little disagreement. You were in a mood or I was in a mood, but it doesn't mean we're not going to be together.
Right. Well, I think I'm not the only guy. I can attest to this, that kind of rolls into a new relationship with this, like, path of least resistance. Like, oh, she didn't want to do what I wanted to do. Screw it. I'm dumping her. Like, I know a lot of people
really
like that.
Think like that?
I think, I don't know if all guys do, but I think it's probably like an inherently male thing where you're like, oh, she doesn't want to do it? All right, whatever. I'll go find someone new. That's kind of been my MO my whole life. Like, when I was even in like high school and thereafter, it'd be like, oh, yeah, this girl, she annoyed me, so I'm just not going to call her anymore. Or,
right, but I feel like, okay, do you think that we're at a point that
I think we're past the point
like
of no
that?
return. Yeah, no, definitely. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
These are things I've had to learn. Even when I was married, we talked about this before. I became like a dirty fighter to where I'm like, that's it. Screw this. Maybe I'm in a bad mood. Next thing I know, I'm threatening to leave or, this, that, and the other thing.
We can't live our lives like that. We have to realize no one's perfect.
Right. And it's a learning experience. Yeah. So I don't know if what we said was valuable in any way, shape, or form to anybody.
Well, if anything else, now like the media outlets know that I could be on Broadway and all that jazz.
Wow. This hairdo you're sporting today is...
What is this?
It's
do
buying
you
some...
like it?
I really do kind of like it, but then when you start singing Broadway, then it all of a sudden becomes like not you. And I don't know how I feel about it.
What?
No.
So, like, what do you want me to be, baby? Like, I have this short blonde wig. How do you want me to act? On that note, I think it's time for a little
to open the mailbag.
Mailbox. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Mail.
Well, congratulations. You just won us our first lawsuit.
All right. So we have
Can we just talk about the weird dichotomy of this entire show, talking about sex and relationships while you quote Blue's Clues?
Okay, well, babe.
I feel like that we gotta get our names on some sort of list. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Okay, so question number 1, honey. Step right up. All right, should I feel bad for not paying for my girlfriend's meals? I always offer to pay, but she says no. What do you think?
I don't think you should ever feel bad. I think it's another inherently male societal thing where it's, I don't want to say always expected. Obviously times have changed, but I was always raised, you go on a date, you take care of it. You take care of however, now I'm, in a relationship with you, and it's very much 50-50, like,
I got those money bags.
Well, it's a perk. It's a perk. I'm a fan of many bags of yours. Fun or money.
What about my eye bags?
I was going to say I could have gone down a really bad path that would have just gotten me in trouble, even though it was totally farcical.
I was born with them, okay? I was born this way, honey.
I was talking about your saddlebags.
Babe! Off! Saddlebags. Really? I'd rather you make fun of my eye bags than my saddlebags.
I prefaced it by saying it was completely farcical. I was just trying to think of different bags and fun.
You're about to be packing your damn bags.
Oh,
tell
good,
you that.
Good.
Hit the road, Jack.
Hey, who asked that question? Blame them. But no, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like, I don't know, as a woman, like, I did appreciate the fact on our first date, we went out to dinner, we went to a few bars and stuff, and you paid for everything. And I thought that was very sweet, even though I offered. But, like, I think even trying to pay, and I was already taken care of. So, like, to me, I was like, okay, that's a cute gesture. However, like, that doesn't need to be the norm. I know that I make money. I know I can take care of myself. But I do like, it's a chivalrous.
Chivalrous,
very
yes.
chivalrous. But I don't know. Like, I think at some point, it's okay to let the guy pay. Like, it's okay. You can't just be, oh, no, it's okay. I got it. Like, let him pay if he wants to pay.
And if she makes more money than you, then she should pay for everything. No.
That's not true. All right. Question number 2, honey.
Did you forget how to read?
I'm trying to find it. Oh, okay. When should I introduce my girlfriend to my parents?
Never.
Don't do it. I think it's so situational. A, it depends how old you are. B, it depends like how serious you guys are. If you're like, no, okay, this is a chick I want to be with, and of course, like you can introduce them to your parents whenever you want. I don't think there's really like a specific timeline. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's like a finite timeline. I guess it's just kind of, to me, if you're deep enough into a relationship where you would be involving your partner with something that would potentially simultaneously involve your parents, other than like living with your parents, I think you just let it happen when it does. It's not like, oh, it's been 3 months, haven't met him.
I also, on the flip side to that, I feel like if you're in a relationship and you're like, say you're the girl and you're not sure really where this relationship is going, you don't know, like it's fun, we're having a good time, but we haven't really like gone into like the meat and potatoes of our relationship yet, and the dude is trying to bring you home to meet mom and dad, I'd be like, like what is happening? It might be a little bit like clingy almost. It's like we've gone on 3 dates and all of a sudden you want to take me home to your parents. Like, let's pump the brakes, you know?
Yeah, I could see that being.
I guess you'd have to both be on the same page.
Right.
As far as the seriousness.
I've never had an issue with my significant other's parents. Like, I know that's like a cliche where, oh, you're going to meet her dad and he's going to answer the door with a shotgun and all sorts of craziness. I don't think of any of the times I've met my girlfriend's parents over the year that there's ever been really like contention. Uno mas, we're running low on time.
The last
we have to go on a
question is, I'm so excited for our date tonight. I can't wait to get it on.
Well, I can't wait for you to finish this podcast so we can go do those things. So
I can't wait for you to.
Okay.
Okay. How do I tell my boyfriend I'd like to try new things in the bedroom, if you know what I mean?
Hey, boyfriend, I'd like to try this new thing.
Do you think it's just that easy?
I think honesty is the best approach. I understand not everybody is as open about sexuality and comfortable levels of experimentation.
Sure.
Totally. Not saying just dive in, because more often than not, you're probably going to freak somebody out or someone's going to be spoken to the wrong way.
Okay, do you tell them prior to the act? Like, is it just like randomly on a Tuesday afternoon, like, hey, I was thinking when I try this? Or do you just try it while you're in the act?
I don't think I would recommend just surprising somebody with something off the wall. Like, if it's something you've at least discussed and you're like, oh, okay, maybe we'll give this a shot, and then you can kind of gauge the interest level.
No little, like.
But if you're, like, in the midst of the act and then all of a sudden, you know, I just had 11 different ideas run through my mind, all of which are just way too far over the top.
Why? Give me an example.
No. I like
what would be too much if you're just, because I think sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, like you said on, I think it was last week's podcast, like I mentioned golden showers, or I mentioned like tooting while you're like in the middle of it. And you're like, well, when your clothes are off and you're in the act, all bets are off.
Right. I agree. But that's also as pertains to you and I. The question was about how do you introduce new things to your partner.
Right. But I mean, while you're doing it, sometimes it's like, oh, cool. Like, you just try it, right? Or you're just like, I want to try this new position, or I just want to like.
This is a very broad. This could be an episode
right,
unto
so that's,
itself.
Well, and I think we could dive into it some more. But for example, what do you think is acceptable to like? I'm not saying just you and I, 'cause trust me, I know what's acceptable and what isn't, and that butt is not getting touched, and it sucks, and I'm still mourning the loss of the butt stuff, but. For example, like I'm not saying just us, just in general. What do you think is a rule of thumb? Like, what is too much to try to suggest on the fly?
Bring up. I am against anything on the fly unless you're like past the point of if this person is asking a question right now about how to approach it, they're not at that level. So don't surprise anybody.
Okay.
I would say have a conversation, not like in the heat of the moment. Or not even necessarily in like
like maybe just a random time you can bring it up.
Right. Like if you're in a car together and you're just like, hey, this might be weird, but you know what I was thinking? And you got to gauge their interest, because you can't just outright go, hey, you know what I want? I want this, because then oftentimes people are going to go, no, what? Who am I dating? That's not okay. You know what I mean? You can't
But
shock
I think
them.
that's what people are afraid of, too, because maybe sometimes people really like certain things and they don't want to steer their partner away.
I think
because no one's crazy.
Right,
like,
just don't rush it. I think if
yeah,
you're at the
maybe
point
start
where
with a little kinky, like a little bit. Just like a little collar or something.
Here, you know what? Honestly, this is okay. You're.
Oh God. Okay. Just go for it. We can always cut it out.
I would suggest going to like a sex shop with your
Yeah.
partner, because it's weirdly embarrassing to go in alone. You
Yeah.
feel like you're doing something wrong.
There's strength in numbers
you
when
are-
you go in together.
Yes, but you go in together, and I feel like that's a great icebreaker, because you can go in, and even if you're half joking, like, huh, look at this, it's 3 feet long, it might like break the ice to where you
Right.
can
Like,
go,
what if they're like, oh yeah, like really, you want to try that 3 foot long?
wow.
and then-
you are the queen of crushing subtleties. I'm over here dancing around trying to keep this PG and palatable.
Okay,
PG-13.
but I'm just saying, if you say that and then the other person is like very responsive, then it's like, oh, but that's such a good idea. And you can kind of like just peruse the shelves and just kind of like put feelers out
Right,
there.
and also if there's something that you go, oh, I might be kind of into that, and you show that to your partner, and they go, oh, that's the weirdest thing. You go like, yeah, I know,
yeah,
right?
just kidding. Like,
I didn't
totally
really
don't
mean
want to
that.
try this
Kind of psycho
3
would
foot
do
rainbow lollipop.
that. What sex stores have you been going to? God, we've got a lot to catch up
Oh
on.
my God, I'm dying. You've seen them, like rainbow things.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen all of them. I
Yeah.
just like that was your go-to, was a 3 foot rainbow lollipop.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Mom. I really am.
You can apologize to everybody forever.
I am who I am.
It is what it is, and I think it's date night, so I'm ready to get the hell out of here.
Maybe we should go to a sex shop, find a lollipop.
Wait, are we talking about lollipops or 3 foot?
Well, okay, they have the but then they also have the lollipops.
You combined them into one.
And then they also have molds. You can like bake a cake shaped like a wiener, or you can like
Yeah,
make a
no,
cake shaped like your own wiener. Clone a Willy, if you will. I mean, I'm not saying he has one, but I'm also not saying he doesn't have one.
If somehow, some way you are still listening to this podcast, thank you for suffering through it with me. Throw us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Please
We
give us
really
a rating.
appreciate it. It helps everybody know about this disaster we are working on.
Help us help you.
And yeah, what else you got? Anything?
I don't have anything. I really feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. We're talking about, moods and all of that, and I just feel a little bit lighter.
Well, good. See,
What about you?
I think honesty is the best policy. And also, before I leave, there's this quote that I actually pulled up because I read it the other day, and it helped me out of a funk.
Really?
Yeah, it was from Marcus Aurelius, he's into the Stoicism meditations that I've been reading a lot of. He said, "Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside."
Ooh, I love that, actually.
Pretty
yeah,
cool, right?
So good.
Yeah, but back to the original theme of the show, I would definitely say, like, hey, don't try to fix your partner's mood when they're in a bad mood. Let them ride it out and then have a conversation after. So hopefully next time you're both a little better prepared, because let's face it, it's inevitable.
We're all a little moody Judy. Do you remember that?
I was really happy with how I ended it, and then you start talking about Judy Moody.
Is it Judy Moody or Moody Judy?
I don't know. Let's go on a date. Go to capocagna.com. Use the code Bear With Us, 20% off. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for dealing with us. Thanks for bearing with us.
He's saying dealing with us, but looking at me.
Goodbye forever.
Bear with us.